Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship innovation. Yes, innovation, it's occurring at a dizzying pace, and the market is responding positively. But the reality is that 95% of new ideas and products fail because people don't understand how to get their idea to the marketplace. That's why I am chatting today with Lorraine Marchand, who wrote the Innovation Mindset, 8 Essential Steps to Transform Any Industry. And I'm going to focus on that word any, because I know Lorraine is going to reveal 8 laws for making an innovative idea a reality. Lorraine, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So Lorraine is the Executive Managing Director of Meritive, formerly IBM Watson Health, and has 3 decades of experience in new product development. I know you've had a lot of different positions, co-founded a lot of different companies, and Lorraine is an adjunct professor of management and serves on the Healthcare and Pharmaceutical Management Program Advisory Board at Columbia Business School, and is an adjunct professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at Yeshiva University in New York. Also an investor member of a venture firm, Plum Alley. Lorraine, that's a lot right there, and that gives you definitely the expertise to come onto the program as the subject matter expert. How did you become so passionate about entrepreneurship and innovation?
Well, that's a great question. And I would say that, the way I describe or define innovation, the innovation mindset is an insatiable curiosity, a passion for problem solving and embracing change. And it's just something that I do think that to some extent it has been innate in me from a young age. I was really encouraged by my dad from the time I could talk and walk to always look and observe for problems. And then when I found a problem, to identify at least 3 solutions on how to solve it. And he gave us some very early lessons that showed us that problem solving was fun and lucrative when we took our first product to market when I was 13. But from there, I just continued to believe that problem solving and innovation and being able to advance society were positive attributes that I wanted to be involved with and engaged and support. And so I've really just made sure that my career journey included being able to create new ideas, solutions, and new ways of working.
Absolutely. And I love what you've done, again, using those 3 decades as an innovator to put together this read. I'm not even going to call it a book because really it's a guide, 8 essential steps to transform any industry. So let's talk about, as I mentioned a moment ago, that 3-letter word, any industry. How is that possible? So many of our entrepreneurs that are tuning in, business owners, are in a variety of different industries, and they're wondering, how can I do my product, my service differently? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that the 8 laws are very fundamental to product or service development. And when we go through the laws, I think it'll be apparent why they are so fundamental. And, clearly you need to do customization around your subject matter expertise, your industry, your types of customers. You'll do some customization around the laws so that they're relevant to your product in your industry. But the fundamental building blocks are just the same, whether you're in financial services or real estate or healthcare or consumer products or IT. So that's, and I have applied this methodology across the board to a number of industries, and it really has stood the test of time.
Wow, fantastic. So we're not going to have time to go through all of these 8 laws of innovation. But as you said a moment ago, it's intended to ensure that successful transformation of so many different businesses, which I know many of our entrepreneurs certainly want to hear. And we're definitely going to send people to that guide, as you said a moment ago. But Lorraine, what are some of the fundamentals? What are some of the things that you've seen that, again, can be applied both to big business and small business alike?
Yeah. Well, one of the first, if I can focus on maybe a mistake that I see made often, and then I'll talk about the antidote to it. The mistake that I see made by startups and corporate entrepreneurs alike is rushing to a solution, really rushing to a solution before you have all the facts, before you know if there's a problem that you're solving that a customer is willing to pay for. So the very first law is to be really clear on what problem you're solving, what's wrong, why is it wrong, who's affected, and who cares are some of the very fundamental questions that can help us determine if we have a problem. And then from there to craft very articulate, specific, measurable type of problem statement. And by creating a real understanding of the problem and a clear problem statement, now that will guide us in terms of the solutions that we're going to start to brainstorm or develop that we can compare against solving that problem. So the first step is all around the right kind of problem identification and really being able to articulate a very tight problem statement that we can then share with a customer in order to confirm that it exists and that they also think it needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. Again, I'm chatting with the author of The Innovation Mindset, 8 Essential Steps to Transform Any Industry. And Lorraine, I know you wrote this book together with John Hank, who writes for the New York Times, Smithsonian, Newsday, and Brain and Life. So I'm curious how that partnership came together and sort of where you drew on to put together these 8 essential steps.
Yeah, well, the impetus and inspiration for the book really has come through my own 30-year journey, both as an entrepreneur in corporations and as the co-founder of 4 startups, and through my own experiences as well as the individuals, whether it's students or startups or corporate executives that I've coached and mentored, and research that I also did, research and case studies. So really that was the inspiration for the content. And as a very early in my career as an innovator, I found out that it was a cumbersome process. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And so once I cracked the code on it, so to speak, and knew that I had these 8 steps that had worked for me repeatedly, my goal was to put together this guide so that other individuals didn't have to take the time and make all the mistakes that I made. So I really hope that it can be an accelerator to get other individuals' big ideas to market quickly and effectively. And so when I decided to write the book, John Hance was recommended to me as an editor. And so John has been the editor kind of / co-writer. I've written the book. John did the editing and contributed some components and stories to it. But what I really love about his background is I have a more technical and business background. And as you noted, John is a sports writer. And so we were just such a fabulous team because he didn't let me get away with using any buzzwords. If he didn't understand something and I didn't express it in plain English, we worked on it until I could. And so I think like having these 8 fundamental building blocks and then being able to write it in a very conversational, simple, not simplistic, but simple fashion has really helped me do what I wanted to do, which was to demystify innovation and entrepreneurship, to make people know that it's very accessible, it's very doable. They don't have to feel intimidated that they're not Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, and that it is something, if you've got an idea, here's a path to taking it to market. So that's really what I wanted to accomplish. And I appreciated John's, sportscaster kind of influence and his voice. It did help me get a lot of the buzzwords out.
Absolutely. And with all these things, that's what created this guidebook. Again, The Innovation Mindset, 8 Essential Steps to Transform Any Industry, which I definitely want to make sure we get our listeners to so they can pick up a copy and get in touch with you, Lorraine. So that's a perfect segue. That's a great homework assignment for everybody over here. Maybe it actually should be the 9 essential steps, but the first one is actually picking up a copy of the read. So let's start with that one. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Lorraine H. Marchand. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a website, which is lorrainemarchand.com, and there's a contact form there. So those are both terrific ways to get in touch with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn and will definitely respond to messages and any kind of outreach.
Fantastic. Again, Lorraine Marchand, really appreciate you sharing your expertise with our listeners, the innovation mindset. Definitely encourage all of our listeners to get in touch through lorrainemarchand.com. or just search for the book because you could go through all of those steps. I particularly love this number 2. One great innovation starts with at least 3 good ideas. I'm looking forward to continuing my own read as well. But we've got to squeeze in a quick break, some headlines, commercials. When we come back, we've got a lot more small business jobs and entrepreneurship. So you don't want to touch that dial. I encourage all of our listeners, get in touch with our sponsors, Tom Mirabali from healthplanchicago.com, healthplanchicago.com for all of your Affordable Care Act and insurance needs. You could call them 630-863-3477. But again, a quick break. We'll be right back here on Get Down to Business on AM 560, The Answer.